Whether it's the US v. Google or the EU v. Amazon, the antitrust tech movement is now hitting the other major economy around the world, and that is China. One of our Chinese experts regularly on this show, Brian Tycangco, joins me now. He is the senior analyst at True Wealth Opportunities China, and he joins me to talk about this. Brian, this time, the target is a pair of Chinese gaming companies whose merger have created a business valued at more than 11 billion US dollars. But it also handed a lot of power over to Chinese tech giant Tencent. What should investors make of this?
Okay, so you're talking about Huya and Douyu. They're two of China's largest online video streaming companies. So by merging the two companies, the two entities, Tencent will end up owning a majority share, I think almost 70%, and basically dominate online video streaming in China, which is now a booming industry. So this being put under scrutiny based on new draft rules on China's anti-monopoly laws. It basically is a shot across the bow for China's tech giants that things are not going to be as easy as they were before in terms of expansion. Why is that happening? Is the question. You gotta understand that China is hurtling towards a connected economy faster than any other country in the world. One fourth of their retail sales are now in e-commerce. They're advancing in 5G, AI, and pretty soon the bulk of their economy is going to be driven by the internet. And I think that's why China is already taking the initiative. Beijing is taking the initiative now to at least get a handle on the growth of these biggest companies. But at the same time, I think it also offers more opportunities for investors who will be able to participate in smaller companies, smaller innovative companies before they get gobbled up by the big boys.
Okay, so there's a couple things I want to follow up on there. First of
Sure.
all, you kind of hinted at the motivation here, right? The way that the motivation has been characterized with the Western anti-monopoly efforts has been, hey, we're looking out for the consumer. We want you to have a better experience. We don't want these companies to get too big and control your experience or control your data. But the way it's being characterized with this Chinese movement is really like, that China wants to rein in something it's set in motion. It's sort of getting out of control, and it wants more control over this entire sector. How do you view the motivation, and why does that matter to consumers and to investors?
Look, China went from a mostly state-owned driven economy back just 25 years ago into one that is almost entirely driven by companies that weren't even in existence 20 years ago. So it's such a incredibly fast shift for China, and I think you saw a piece of that I wouldn't say worry, but concern about the growing influence of these tech majors like Alibaba
Yeah, I
when
mean, look at
they
what
stepped
how
in.
the press was characterizing what happened to Jack Ma and
Yeah,
the recent Ant IPO. I mean,
exactly.
it comes across as a personal reining in, as though China doesn't want its CEOs to get bigger than the party.
I think that could also be the case, but I think that is just part of it. I think the bigger picture here is that what kind of economy will China be 20 years from now? It's going to be mostly a digital economy. And if it's mostly going to be a digital economy, is all the power and all the influence and all the business going to be concentrated on just a select group of companies, which eventually will put also the stability of China in question. If one of these companies encounters something bad, a big part of the economy is going to go under, and that's going to destabilize the entire Chinese economy, which they hate. It's not really a matter of personal vendetta or personal angst about one person being too influential. It's the instability that one company or a small group of companies can cause to the world's second largest economy.
You said earlier that you think there'll be opportunities for investors to
Yeah.
invest in smaller companies before they get gobbled up. But what about the concept of breaking up these big guys? Do you see that coming? It's certainly something we regularly talk about with respect to Amazon, for example, or even to Google. As they get bigger, what the likelihood will increase that they'll be broken up.
Uh, as far as so far, I don't see that happening. It seems like a far-fetched kind of notion that they will be broken up, especially since these companies like Alibaba and Tencent, Meituan Dianping, they are really integral to President Xi's plan to entrench them into China's national savings. Basically, get everybody invested in these big companies because these companies are going to continue growing. They're going to grow the pension fund. They're going to grow the stock market. They're going to basically help grow China's capital markets into one that is, one that can compete with Wall Street. The more scrutiny that there are with these acquisitions, the more likely smaller companies will not get bought out. They're going to be choosing to list in either Hong Kong or most likely the star market in China, in Shanghai, and open up more opportunities for smaller investors to get in on these great companies while they're young and then see them grow. I mean, look, Instagram,
So,
Facebook bought
so
Instagram when it was really small, but the potential was huge. I mean, how many more millionaires do you think would have been made if Instagram became a publicly listed company instead of being gobbled up by Facebook?
So you're saying that Xi Jinping, the president of China, wants to encourage that, and that's why he doesn't want any one of these tech companies to get too big. He wants to create a more, and this is part of what we've talked about before, that he's really trying to create a place for Chinese people to invest in their own economy.
Exactly, exactly. We can't just look at it one way. There's many ways of looking at this, and there's just many reasons, not just one reason for this initiative to scrutinize takeovers by monopolistic companies.
Mm-hmm. So that will create opportunities for Chinese investors, but what are the prospects for foreign investors? I mean, do we expect that this will be opened up to them? Because not all Chinese companies are investable by outside investors right now.
You're right. Eventually, foreign investors will be able to invest in companies listed in the star market. There already are ETFs that cover the star market. So by that definition, foreigners are already able to invest in the star market. Whether it be one of these smaller companies in the future, who's to tell? They may come up with a new index that covers all the companies in the star market, but it's already happening. It's all part of China's grand plan, I think, to open up its capital market for investors, as well as make the market more attractive by giving it more companies to choose from, better companies, and not letting these companies, great companies, get gobbled up by Tencent, Alibaba, or whoever.
I'm going to leave it there, but fascinating conversation. Thank you so much for your analysis. Brian, where do we follow up on your analysis about China and the emerging markets? Where can we find your stuff?
Okay, just look us up at stansberryinvestor.com.
All right. Thanks so much. Appreciate your time. Take care.
You're welcome.
And if you'd like to see much more content just like this, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Thanks for watching. I'm Jessica Stone.